Jason, first of all, thanks for being here, always. And, it's been a fun journey, in the roughly, what are we at, 13, 14 months that you've been here. Yeah. You came from a mortgage family. Yeah. You also had the privilege of working with a really big leader in the financial space. And even your own journey, what have you learned in the year that you've been here at EPM that's really helped transcend you, and where do you feel like that can go further with you?
Well, when I look back at the last 13 months of being here, I would say, I've learned a ton. Just to tell you, like, one specific thing would be crazy because it's been so much. I would say one is really what empowerment means, right? That's something that we talk about quite a bit, is empowering people.
What does it mean to you, or what did you think, I guess, it meant before?
Well, it's like a dictionary term, right? Empowerment is being like one, binary, right? It was this and empowering, because it means different things as it relates to life and business and whatever. But for me, I would say risk-taking, right? But not in the traditional sense of risk, right? Being empowered means to be free, is the way I look at it, right? Is to being at some companies in the past where I wasn't empowered to do my thing or to be who I am. Here, I really have learned what freedom is about when it comes to being creative and to take chances, to take some calculated risks in order to put the organization in a different spot in an industry that's been commoditized the last decade.
And what are some of those freedoms or empowerment have you also bestowed to your mentees, the people that, not only report to you, but other people in the organization that definitely look at you for certain skills, knowledge, or even know-how?
Yeah, so I learned a lot from you and how you lead us and the other executives at EPM, and the way that I look at it when it comes to my people is that same level of empowerment, and again, meaning something different to each one of them, but allowing them the freedom to look at challenges that we may have in their perspective, not like, okay, you tell me what I need to do and I'll do it, sure. But I want them to think about it. I want them to be critical thinkers, and how would they solve that challenge? Doesn't mean that we were going to go that way, but one thing that I tell them is that everything's a discussion. Doesn't mean that I'm going to go with their way of doing things. I'm not going to go with their way to solve a challenge. I'm not going to go with their ways on a project all the time. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't, whatever makes the most sense. But let them know that nothing is just a hard no or yes. It's let's have a discussion about it, and then whatever makes the most sense, that's how we're going to roll. And I think with them, what they've liked is that they're not being micromanaged. It's not me to like you mentioned guardrails all the time, right? I want them to bounce off of those, but I want them to at least take the journey, right? I don't want to have a culture of button pushers, right? Sure. And lever pullers. I want them to get out of the mechanical, confines of what working in a company should be about, right? Punch in a clock, come in, do my work, and then go home. This is about creating something different. In order to do that, you have to empower them on a lot of different levels: personal development, professional development, but give them the freedom to know that their ideas aren't going to be squashed. It's something that we're going to discuss.
Yeah, and you talked about the guardrails, and as we've always discussed, it's a pretty wide road. Mm-hmm. It's just to make sure they don't fall off the cliff. Yep. It's okay if they bounce, and okay if they go backwards, come this way. So, what are, because you always, when we talk about these things, it's always important to highlight the overview. But who has been, some of the people you've led and mentored that have been very rewarding, that you've seen their growth and how they've grown and applied some of these things that you've taught them?
So for me, I would say, there's people that I work with. I would say Logan has been one that I think that I've helped kind of understand a little bit more of the executive dynamic since he's fairly new and I've been an executive for a while. I think Carrie's been another one that I have seen have growth to take more ownership over her area and going outside of being like, hey, I'm just the best at what I do, and then I've been promoted to being the owner of that channel of everything that I do. So I've enjoyed to see her grow. I've enjoyed to see Logan grow in the areas as far as just understanding how to lead people and understanding that it's not just I'm a manager and I'm doing something. It's just really understanding what does it mean to lead. Andrew Garcia on my team, he has had tremendous growth, done a ton of just grown tremendously with all the projects.
He's young, too.
And he's young.
I mean, he's real young.
Yeah, he's young. And, I would say Frank has grown a lot, and especially in the last few months since we've changed his role, seeing where he's taking ownership over the relationships and being free. And that goes back to what I said about empowerment, giving him the freedom and empowerment to do what he does best and putting him. That's something that you and I
how did that role empower him?
I think what he was put in a position to where he wasn't able to be what he is, right? And Frank. Frank is not.
Hey, Uncle Frank.
Yeah, Uncle Frank is not in the office, taking notes sort of guy. He's out, he's driving around, he's talking with people face to face. Frank is a face to face person, and so now with his role of doing that, we've just seen the reward. From a business perspective, it's great to see the dividends paying off of him being in that position. But for me, it's about seeing him tell me which he does every single week without fail, about how thankful he is and how happy he is that he's in this position, because he feels like he's not only able to do what he wants to do and what he's most effective at, but also seeing the rewards of that, seeing the new relationships that we have with brokers, seeing the new loan officers that we're having conversations with, all the real estate agents that he's brought into the fold, and being out there and being that social butterfly that he is to actually and knowing that that's how people respond to Frank too, and understanding that putting him in that position also allows them to understand more about what we're trying to build here, because he gets it, but he doesn't have to be put in that cubicle, so to speak, of just answering phones.
Yeah, the evolution of Frank has definitely been fun, and it's also been good because you helped bring that dynamic of making things fun, because he's now getting to really fly. You've got some great plans for this organization, from being different, but in a good way, being disruptive, but in a good way. Share some of those thoughts and your overall vision, because that's going to be so crucial, not only to the organization, but to the people below you, and maybe even to others out there, because we definitely have a culture of paying it forward as an organization. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think for the way that I look at, things, especially when it comes to the age of media, and I think a lot of mortgage lenders, what they've tried to do was try to be different within that construct of just, hey, I'm a mortgage lender and we're in the media age, right? Whereas I think, and this goes back to what we talked about being empowering, free to do things different and take risks that are outside of the norm, is you hear people talk about, oh, we're this that happens to do this. We're a mortgage or a media company that happens to do mortgages. And I think, where we need to go is really not just say, hey, we're a mortgage lender in the media age, but just saying, hey, we're a media company, and this is the service and products that we give out to the community.
Personal development, definitely.
Exactly, right?
Growing people, making them more powerful.
Yeah, I mean, what other mortgage companies talk about, being fit or mental health and all that other stuff? Because I think at the, one thing that the mortgage industry has gotten away from is who we serve, and that's everyday people. That's
relationships. They've kind of lost. Do you believe that they've lost a little bit of the humanity?
I think absolutely. I think the last decade has shown how do we make a better mousetrap, and I really do mean it as that. Is how do we capture consumers' attention? Which great, it's marketing, right? I'm all about that. Sure. But again, going to empowerment is how do we actually help people? Because it's one thing to say we want to generate wealth, right? But really understanding, and this is something I talk about quite a bit, is that when we do our jobs right, we're really changing the dynamic. We can be changing the dynamics of a generation of a family, right? Their kids, their kids, and home ownership does that. And I think, we talk about the American, the American dream and all that other good stuff. But at the end of the day, it's how do we make these people be able to do what they do for the whole of society? Meaning, because sometimes and again, this may be a little bit too much, but the way I look at it is I want to look at the whole board, right? It's part of being, about being strategy, right? Is that I look at the whole board, and if we look at what if we change this person's dynamic because let's say they lived in a really bad area, bad schools, whatever. So we help them. They didn't think they could own a home. They get into a nice neighborhood, a good school, and that kid goes up and ends up, because of the opportunities that he or she were given, right?
Education, mentors, even better teachers.
Exactly. And what if that kid ends up coming with a life-saving vaccine, right? That wouldn't happen, and or curing cancer, or developing a new way of learning English, or a new way of doing math, or something else. It's like you really got to, because I look at it this way, we're none of us are getting out of this alive, right? We're all going to be here for a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to do this, whatever it happens to be that you're doing in life, if you're going to, that's your choice to do that. And if you're going to choose to do it, why not be the best at it? And if you're going to be the best at it, let's make it count. Leave a legacy for something. And so we're one of those few industries, not only did we fulfill people's dreams of home ownership, but the branches from that tree that goes out take affect all walks of life and inventions and anything else. I mean, we have that one post about like, hey, it turns out all you need is a house with a garage, because you're talking about like HP getting invented, Apple getting invented, all these like Amazon, all these things that were done out of garages.
Or even you want to talk about just even the building the equity piece. I mean, go look at Damon from Sharks.
Yeah,
his mom took out a second mortgage. She believed in him. She had the equity, and he's on Shark Tank for a reason now, for his many successes and his investments and everything he built and everything of that nature. So
yeah, and if she couldn't take out a second mortgage, then what? You know what I mean? So it's I like to look at things like that, because it really gives me, I already have a sense of purpose of what I want to do.
Sure.
But I want that sense of purpose to carry over what I'm doing on my daily life, right? And if we can be a mortgage lender that just doesn't talk about it, but truly be about it, which EPM is, and that's one of the things that I love about being here, and it goes again, and I'll keep going back to it, because it's not just empowering people more isn't just a tagline for me. No. When I decided to go all in, I decided to go all in. And if I really can help this company do what other mortgage companies can't, and that's really focus on the whole board of what we do, as opposed to just numbers and transactions and units and volumes. Yes, they're all important, and yes, it affords us the ability to do all these great things, but we cannot lose sight of what we're actually here for, and that's to change people's lives, to empower people more. And by doing that through home ownership, we could do so many things and touch so many lives, and look at all the things that we're able to do as a company, whether it be to donate to a charity, to help people out when they're distressed.
Veterans, mental health, everything, cancer research, everything that we've been able to do.
And that's what it, to me, is about being different, right? It's not about being different because, oh, hey, we have a digital mortgage app that's different than our competitors. No, it's like, hey, we have that, but at the end of the day, all of that is just a vehicle that allows us to do all these other great things for the betterment of mankind, womankind, whatever you want to call it, just to be the betterment of society at large.
So a lot of your mentoring and how you relate with your mentees goes with social responsibility. Yeah. You feel like, the belief can't be that the organization does well. It's also got to be what it does for the individuals in the organization and for everybody that it's serving.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, definitely, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure you being here in such a short while, and I think that now, with so many of the great things that are going on, it's only going to keep unlocking it. I think your growth, not only in this organization, but the influence you're going to have industry-wide, as well as at the local level with the people that you lead, I think is going to be real impactful. Really excited. There's a lot of fun things on the horizon, as we all know, that one day we'll joke about 10 years from now talking about it, because I think we have a long runway here, and definitely look forward to it. And as you know, anything you see that I could be always doing better, or things that I need to be on the lookout for so that it does get better, since I have such a passion for all of us improving as well as evolving, please always let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. And, again, my message to the industry is that change is coming to a theater near you, so get dressed.
Enjoy it. And change is always happening. Every day you change. You get one day older, and why not get one day better?
100%.
So, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.